Welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Life podcast with me, your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode. But before we get started, I want to say this that for the first time ever, we have a guest in the podcast. In this case, if you're watching the video, it's my dog. He won't leave my side today. I don't know if he's feeling good or anything like that, but he's sleeping next to me and he's going to make the episode even more special because I love my dog. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. But I want to start with this. Have you ever expected something to go one way but feel sad, angry, or even livid when it goes differently? This happens a lot with spoonies or with anybody in general. I have done this my entire life. Unfortunately, we usually expect things to go our way, but when it doesn't happen, we get all the feelings that I mentioned, and sometimes we even feel worse than that. When you're chronically ill and going through rough situations, we tend to expect things to go our way. I know I have done this. Probably you have done it. My wife has done it. I know a lot of people that have done it, or you might even know somebody that's doing it. And the problem is, the situation is that the expectations that are rough to deal with could be with illnesses that we are facing, our partners, doctors, family members, and people in general. We expect to get better from the health challenge or that it should go away as soon as we start new treatments. I've done this, my wife has done it again, and I know a lot of people that actually hope that the new treatment works like magic, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And another thing that I've done a lot, and I see a lot of people do it, is that we hope our partners, family members, and people in general understand that we are sick. And sometimes we expect them to help us without having to ask. I have seen this a lot with spoonies, and I have done it myself. Like, I used to think that because of what I was going through, everybody needed to help me, and it was an expectation that I had where I didn't have to ask for help. I just knew that I needed to be helped, but I didn't want to ask for it. I was expecting for people to offer it, and that never happened most of the time. But here's the thing though, having those kinds of expectations end up hurting us in our recovery in the long run because having too many expectations was holding me back. Actually, it was holding me back, and I never realized it until years later. Actually, until recently. That's why I wanted to talk about this. And let me ask you this. Are you being held back too? That's an answer that you can give yourself. You don't have to say it to anybody. You can write it down. You can do whatever you want with that answer as long as you give yourself an actual honest answer. Because I was being held back because I was expecting something to happen without even asking for it from other people, like I mentioned. And when it didn't happen, I will feel like nobody cared, so I will feel alone or like I wasn't getting better. I wasn't worth of getting better. So obviously that could cause depression and it can have all these effects on you. But my biggest expectation in life has been for my wife to understand what I had gone through growing up. But let me ask you this. How can she know what was like when she never lived it, right? Even if I try to explain it, which I try to do it all the time, she has never felt the pain like I have. I have shared some of the ways my childhood affected me, but people can only relate it. People can only relate to that in the end. And if we feel like they can't relate, we feel misunderstood. Like sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, this only happens to me, or I must have been a bad person because nobody else understands it and nobody else is going through the same thing. But that's not exactly true. So what I did after after taking a good look at my life, I decided to try to live without expectations. It was the best thing that I have ever done because when things don't go my way, I don't get frustrated as much anymore. I don't get frustrated, and instead, I try to understand what I could have done better or what I needed to learn so that next time I might get the outcome I want. Like, for example, asking for help, not expecting for my wife to do everything when I'm feeling sick. And the same thing goes with her. Because one thing that's happening nowadays is with doctors, when you go to a doctor, many times things are not going to go our way. That's a fact, especially with doctors. Unless you have a great doctor. If you do, good for you. Keep it up. Don't let that doctor go. And if they're willing to, if they're ready to retire, just tell them no. I'm just kidding about that. Because here's the thing though. My wife and I my wife and I have had lots of experience going to see doctors, hoping for a good outcome, or having expectations that they will help us and they don't. And this has happened to us a lot. Has it happened to you? I'm pretty sure it has, because I know a few people that actually has happened, and it makes them feel like crap, literally. So now, when I go to the doctor with my wife and get good care or actual good information about the condition, I feel amazing because I didn't have any expectations of what the outcome might be, and my wife is doing the same thing. Her attitude towards her doctors has changed a lot, which is great. That actually has helped her a lot because living without expectations is the most uncomfortable thing you can do because we don't like uncertainty. But like I explained when it comes to the doctors, like we want it to go one way. We expected we expect the doctors to know everything, and when they don't, or where they don't even pay attention to us, it makes us feel like crap. That's why um, having zero expectations is okay, but because we don't like to live with uncertainty, it's hard because that's not how our brains are wired. We want to know if everything will work out in the end the way that we want it to work out. But sometimes that's not how life works, especially when you're going through something in life. We want to make sure that we are going to be okay in these types of situations. But what has helped me the most is understanding that whatever happens, I will figure out what I need to do next. Anyone can try this, but it's a daily thing that I'm still working on. So don't expect to do it right on your first try if you decide to live without expectations, because it takes time to get used to it. Like I said, our brains are wired to have expectations. Like that's pretty much how we have been raised. I love us our entire lives, so it's gonna be hard. It was hard for me, and most likely it might be hard for you. And I see this with my wife, and it has been hard for her, but it has helped her. So this is something that you might want to try to see if it helps you, especially when it comes to doctors, because unfortunately a lot of doctors don't really pay attention to you, or they don't really know what to do. So removing that expectation when you go see a doctor is gonna be the best thing that you're gonna do for you. Removing that expectation that, oh, the doctor is gonna help you, or the doctor is gonna give you the medicine that is gonna cure you, or the doctor knows everything. When you do that, it's actually gonna help you in the long run. But that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today on today's episode. I hope you guys are still enjoying the episodes. I keep getting a lot of feedback, and that's why we're growing and changing the podcast to make it better for you guys, because you guys are the community. You guys are actually helping me grow, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate your feedback and everything. And don't forget to share, like, subscribe. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And again, thanks to you, we're growing. We're getting more listeners every time. And I really, really, really appreciate it, because that means that either you guys are sharing it or you guys are talking about it, and more people are actually willing to listen to me with everything that I have to say. But it's all thanks to you. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to share your story, you can actually send it to me at the Spoonie and Caregiver Life at gmail.com, or you can post it on our community on Facebook. And I'll leave you like always. Always take care of yourself and have a great day.